Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Today, I am very excited to be sitting with Astryd Schiller today. And Astryd is a healer from Germany, but now resides in Canada. So, welcome, Astryd.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Tara. I'm stoked to be here.
Well, I'm really stoked to have you here, Astryd. And before we came on, we were talking a little bit about, the title of healer. So
Yeah.
that was really interesting. Would you like to share a bit about that?
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you so much for giving me actually this opportunity because people nowadays, when they hear the word healer, some of them are getting ooh, ooh, ooh again, and others are curious. And I call myself a healer because food, for example, can heal your body. And yes, we put this definition of certified nutritional therapist behind, which is me since 20 years. But people forgot actually the root of what we actually did 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago. We used to cure ourselves with herbs and with food, with different ingredients, and that helped the body. We helped ourselves. And even nowadays, Reiki, and I'm a Reiki practitioner, I'm a Reiki master. Reiki is used in hospitals to heal people. I don't know if this is in the UK already, but here in North America it is. I know in Germany it is. So there are different parts, and I call those modules that I'm doing, that I'm healing people with, because emotional intelligence, what I'm coaching as well, is part of it. And whatever a client needs and feels, this is how I heal and help and support, guiding them through it. And I call this the path of liberation, because when you're coming out of this, even one session, you feel completely different than before you went into. And this is why I call myself a healer.
Amazing. This is your short version of many things that you are accomplished in.
Yeah.
And yeah, you have an amazing story and a lot of resilience in your story. Um, I was thinking, especially around the relationship with your mother, because I'm somebody whose mother physically died and is not here anymore. But a lot of people are grieving the mother that they wished that they had had, or
Mm.
the relationship that they thought they should have had and they didn't. And I know that that's kind of your relationship that you had with your mother. But obviously you've got to the other side of that. So maybe to begin with, would you share a bit about that relationship and how you have overcome that?
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And as you hear, my voice is immediately changing when I talk about her. My mother passed now 10 years ago, over 10 years ago, almost 11 years ago. And before she passed, she gave me the rundown of hating me. And I just wanted to see her in the hospital again. I just wanted to see that, or introduce to her my firstborn, and she refused. And I had to come to terms with this as well, because there was so much hate and there was so much emotion, I should say. It doesn't matter how you define this, what kind of wording you put into this, you feel what another person is actually doing. And now I'm saying for you. Because when you feel that inside of you, you get to understand, has that actually to do with me? Or has that to do with the person who talks like that towards you? And this is what I did. I really, when she came that hard on me, I was older, so I could. When I was a kid, I was not. And I was devastated as a kid. But let me tell you, as an adult, even when you feel this kind of, what, why is she doing this again? The why. And then I actually ask a different question. Has that actually ever to do with me? And for me, it was important that I'll go there. And so I decided she can say whatever she wants to. And I went. So it meant really going from North America to Europe, finding all kinds of accommodation whatsoever. And I really just went there. She had no choice. And then I connected with my siblings. And all of a sudden, she came out of this hospital. She walked at that time. It was just before her death. And all of a sudden, when she saw me, it was this, oh, you're here. But now, retrospectively, I know that she could not actually really show what she really felt. And this had nothing to do with me, that had only to do with her. So in that time frame, I started to understand that when people are really mean to me or to you or to anybody, it has really nothing to do with you as a person. It has only to do with themselves. And nevertheless, everything what she did to me while I was a kid was hurting me so bad. And I was longing for love so that she finally, when will she see me? This was my question. When is this finally going to stop? When is she finally nice? What do I need? I went into all direction, completely scattered as a little girl, trying to find a way to please the mother who should actually love me because she brought me to this world. But it was not a given. And coming to terms with that, I only came to terms with that when I was older. And now I understand the grieving behind. Now I understand all the wounds that come up or that came up and that needed to heal.
So for people who can connect with this story, you did the work of forgiving her and healing the relationship after she had passed away?
No. Yes. After she passed away. Yes. After. I was in the stage of, okay, I know where you're coming from, but I was not yet able to let go of the trauma she had caused me as a little girl, so that me as an adult, I was looking for people who were emotionally unavailable to me, for me, because I was going all the time back into how I grew up to understand, while I was in my healing phase, my path of liberation, even mind-wise, that I get to go into those kind of relationships all the time in order to heal the little girl that was hurt so much by a person that was in my life, that I didn't do anything for her. And I got to understand that there is something higher than me, something that happened in her life. And when I understood that, I was able to forgive her. But the surrendering part was the most difficult, really, to let go. And this is why I'm saying there are two phases. There's, yes, you can have compassion for the person and you understand completely, but you still cannot go. And then look what it does to your body. And then all of a sudden you try to understand and, what happened actually to her mother? What actually did my grandmother, my Oma, did to her or did for her in order to make her awake of something that was not good? Maybe, maybe not. This is, again, something that it's not up to me to judge. And then slowly being able to forgive, but the surrendering part, really to let go of the pain she caused me. The victimhood is actually what I had to let go. Yes, she did so much and she put me in a certain place, but it was really the surrender, and I surrender into God, into the Holy Spirit, the pain. And it was a process. It's not something that happened just overnight. Because on the other side, life happens. And I was in relationship with narcissists or with people who were emotionally unavailable. So the same thing. So I had to understand that I caused that in order for me to be able to surrender and to forgive myself as well, because I choose to go there. I did that, a lot of things to me. I hope that was, it's huge, the process. And yes, it takes more than an hour.
Yeah. Yes, it definitely takes more than an hour. Yeah, that's a lot of hours, workshops, retreats worth of processing, I imagine. I think what's coming up for me is that some people have complicated grief with people that die, that they may not have had, the atypical or hoped for loving relationship, but that doesn't mean to say that you don't grieve, because a lot of the time people are about, grief is love, which it is, but then there are also people that, are our parents who weren't always the most loving parents, but we have a lot of unresolved things to sort out. And I think that, you're very connected to the spiritual realm, and that to sort of encourage people that even though they're not here in the physical form, that we can still work on the forgiveness and we can still work on the relationship, even if they are not here anymore.
Yeah. And can I talk to that, please? Because it has nothing to do with them anymore. It has only to do with you, and to let go. This is something that a lot of people, it's hard to understand at the beginning. But when you look at even the process of what is a boundary, why are boundaries actually healthy? And what is a boundary? Is a boundary for me, or is a boundary for the other person? And when I understood that my boundary is for me, so that I am safe, so that I feel respected, this is my fence, and you cannot go over this. Otherwise, I would be again the doormat, this kind of thing. So this boundary is not for others, because others walk over, they don't care. It's for you to respect your own values. And when you understand that part, that everything is for you, you will then understand as well that even though they passed, you can make peace with them. And very easily, sometimes really put on a candle and have a discussion and get it out of your body. And if it needs to be, then you just scream inside of a pill. Will you get an answer? No, maybe not. Maybe yes, because I did. I got answers. And that is the whole process, yes, of grieving, but as well of getting the anger out of your body, because nobody else has the anger except you in your body. Nobody else has the grief in the body than you. So you get to find solution to get it out. And pointing finger at others doesn't help, because you get to get it out.
Mm.
Does that make sense what I'm saying? It's deep. It's really deep this time.
Yeah, but it's so powerful. And what you're saying, like, nobody else has the anger.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, anger is one of these emotions that we carry in grief, regardless of what we're grieving.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, it can be quite difficult for people to know how to release that anger.
Mm.
And do you have any, like, what are your, I mean, you just said then about screaming into the pillow.
Yeah. I in my toolbox, I have a toolbox full of exercises to get this really out of the body. And one of them is, of course, the physical thing to get this out, because there is an emotion attached to. But what I want to say as well is, when we as kids are getting angry, when we are, and this is why when we are around the 2-3-year-olds, we don't actually know what kind of emotion is attached to, but we get angry. A lot of times it could be actually completely devastation, disappointment, sadness. When we're getting older, we're getting those words. And the definition of anger changed, but nevertheless, it is in your body. And this is why being a nutritionist helps in that case, because you get to work with food as well to get it out of your body. You get to work with water to get it out of your body. And then you get to work with energies to get it out of your body. And one of them is screaming into a pillow. The other part is as well a meditation. Another part could be a complete detox. There are so many other things that I'm using. And then there is the energy healing that really comes from the divine that helps to get it really out and to make peace with everything that is inside of you. And this is what I call that. This is epigenetics, because there is so much coming from our ancestors, and that is imprinted in your DNA. So there's a lot that you are carrying around that has nothing to do with you. And when you get into this phase of understanding what is actually me, what is my blueprint? I call that sometimes blueprint. And what is actually from the others? And the others can be the belief, I'm not good enough, I'm not whatever enough, whatever habits. This is why I just blogged something about habits to make people aware. A habit might not even come from you. A tradition might not even come from you. It comes from 50, 100 years, 150 years ago, because the circumstances were different. But it has been implemented into your family and now bought in. You have bought in as a tradition. And maybe it is time to look really closer into this and to bust it in order for you to really create new neuron pathways in your brain. And this is what it is, what changes with those exercises that I have in my toolbox that will bring you complete freedom and unconditional love for yourself. You will really recreate yourself.
Which is bringing me to the, another theme that we have talked about is identity. So, often when we begin on the path of healing, we have identity shifts and we start making different choices, and it can be difficult for people who have known us for a long time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And we just talked about this exactly. And I want just to let everybody know that it is okay if people are starting to ghost you. Because what it actually tells us is all of a sudden, either these people have an issue with you or a challenge because you became somebody not new. You were already this, but because all of a sudden you take care of yourself, your well-being, your inner freedom, that you don't run anymore to go into the next drama. When you stop and be still, you will realize that a lot of people, especially as an empath, are used that you do things for them. And when you come to the realization that, and here we come again to this tradition, to these habits, to these beliefs, that it is fine for you to finally sit down and to take this cup of coffee because everybody around you is actually an adult. You don't need to serve everybody. Yeah, but it's inside of me. Yes, I know. But, and now it will be interesting, is this actually coming from you, or does it come from a belief, and now I'm talking about as women, that we get to serve somebody? And now to the man, that you can say, give me a coffee, because you have been brought up like this. But what is it actually that made you that way? Is that because you saw it? Is it because you grew up like this? And what if you put really the love into this, into yourself first, and then watch what other people are doing with this love? Some people cannot suck it up that you are going to change. Some people don't understand why all of a sudden you start that beautiful smile of yours. I had people tell me, I don't like the new Astryd, and they turned around and left. And Tara, this is another session for grieving, because I had to understand that had nothing to do with me, all about themselves, because I was not anymore in the drama. I said, no, thank you. You don't want to change. I am not the one who's going to change you. You are not the one who will be able to change me. Nobody can change us except ourselves. And if we run around with this, I want to have the drama in my life, then there is something happening in your brain. Then there is something happening inside of your body that makes you sick. And that gets to heal too. And I'm talking about cancer as well. I'm talking about IBS. I'm talking about gut syndrome. I'm talking about dementia. I'm talking about everything that is around it, because it has to do with the emotions. And there's so much, oh my God, I just lost myself, because I wanted actually to tell you guys as well that yes, I went through so much what Tara said. So many years ago, the doctors actually were telling me I would lose my life. Well, I'm still here. So many years ago, those doctors were telling me I wouldn't be able to have any children. Well, I got 3. And there is so much power in resilience, what you said. And this, if you turn around and have a look, who are actually those people that are around me? Do they do any good for me? And I know how it feels to do really this very first step. It is one of the most important steps out into liberation, and it can feel like you fall into a hole. All of a sudden, you think you will be alone because you have been trained to believe that there is no open door anymore for you. And I can just say that after I went through what I went through, those doors all of a sudden opened. Doors that were always closed down that I didn't even see. And all of a sudden, opportunity opened. And nowadays, people are saying to me, even my best friend who knows me since, should I say this, how many years? She's, yes, I can say this, half of a decade. Exactly. I can say that. Of course I can say this. Yes, I'm over 50. But she told me last night, actually, she said, I never heard you talking like this. And she started crying. Because we are together all our life in each other's lifetime. I know everything about her. She knows everything about me. But there has been a shift. And this is why she actually confirmed last night that this shift is so liberating to hear me saying something like this to her, that she feels that there is freedom in what I say. There is truth in what I say. And here we go again with my scripture. God will only promote people who are not lying. And this is then me. When you are rigorous in your word, when you speak what you're going to do and you are respecting your word, you will feel even that the truth and the confidence in yourself will come back. Because maybe you're saying, oh, I love you, and you don't actually love them. Oh, I'm good, but you're not doing good, but you still say it. So is this now a disbelief? Is it now you're hurting yourself in your core? Or what is it? And this is where I go with my clients so deep that they really identify themselves in their core. And that gives the shift into something so unbelievable, calm and peaceful and loving, and gives the opportunity for loving people again and not having this fence around us and being kind to ourselves, but being rigorous with the word.
Very powerful, Astryd. Very powerful.
I learned, oh my God. And this is why I am so passionate to help people who are desperate, because I was there. I was desperate in my health. I was desperate with fertility. I was desperate in love. I was desperate with money. I was everywhere. And since those shifts came and I was able to identify myself, what? The love came back for myself. And all of a sudden, abundance came in.
Well, amen to that.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. Hallelujah.
Yeah. We're getting towards the end of this interview. I mean, it's hard because there's so many things and areas that we could touch on. But I always ask people, what's your interpretation of the term conscious grief?
I think I started already talking about this. When you understand, for example, that people are ghosting you, you become aware that something has happened, and that might not be you. That might be, you feel it, but you don't know what exactly this is. You become aware. You become maybe sad, that a relationship ended. And you might be even desperate that this relationship ended. What I did when I was that conscious and aware, I shifted it. I shifted into the positive. And this is something that I do believe is the most important thing. When you shift something negative into the positive, how can you do that? Well, for example, if you become aware that you are grieving, that you are sad, sit with it. Why wouldn't you sit with it? We have been trained not to cry. Why? Do that first. Get the energy out of your body, number one. Number two, celebrate. Celebrate that you are aware that maybe you have been used by somebody. Become aware, because awareness is 60% of the healing for itself. And write down what comes up for you. And ask yourself, when was it the first time in my life that I felt like this? And this is why I have these introduction calls. If somebody just feels the calling, just schedule it and let's talk. Because when you feel this and you don't know, let's shift this. Because there is so much power into getting aware that that really hurts now, and this emotion comes up. Give yourself the time to grieve. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour. But it gets to shift. And this is why I'm saying there are multiple tools that you can do that we just talked about. And then there are people out there to help you.
Yes, there are. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, as Astryd said, if you feel connected to her message, then you're very generously giving people introductory calls as your free gift. So please do click on the link below this and take advantage of this amazing offer. So thank you very much for that, Astryd.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Tara. It was such a pleasure.
Yeah, such a pleasure to sit with you and hear your a little snippet of some of your work, because there's so much. So I really do encourage you to look at Astryd's website and see more of what she does. Thank you, Astryd, and so lovely having you here and meeting you. Thank you for everything.
Bye.